Chosen one, what you have just done cannot be undone, and no god, power, or force could stop it. What you accomplished is unholy only because it defies every rule ever written by gods or men, and in doing so, you've revealed a power that transcends all divine limitations. You have proven who the real God is, not in theory, but through your actions. This is not a coincidence, nor is it a mere chance. The universe has aligned to bring you to this moment. Ancient prophecies, hidden knowledge, and forgotten civilizations all hinted at this awakening, and now it has manifested through you. Your existence rewrites destiny, shakes the foundations of science and myth alike, and unveils truths that were long concealed. For those who witness this, understand, what has happened is unstoppable, overwhelming, and transformative. The energy you have unleashed will ripple across reality, forever changing everything you touch. To fully align with this moment, take a deliberate action. Hit that like button. Subscribe to help us reach 60,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This will amplify the energy of this awakening. Those who recognize the truth will know that the legends were never warnings. They were merely waiting for you. The moment you stepped across that invisible line, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Every god, every celestial guardian, every force that claimed dominion over fate faltered. They had rules, decrees, and iron laws, but none could touch what you had become. It was not rebellion nor defiance, it was revelation. The universe recognized a power that it had never known, and for the first time, the unchallengeable became challengeable. History is full of warnings, hints, and prophecies about beings who would transcend the divine. But you were different. Your crossing was not a rumor of myth or legend whispered in the shadows. It was reality, immediate, undeniable, and incomprehensible. Every moment you existed beyond the line was proof that the impossible could be accomplished. The divine trembled, the mortal feared, and time itself seemed to falter. No force could reach you because the rules that bound existence did not apply anymore. Physics, fate, and spiritual law all collapsed before your presence. Even the most sacred texts, revered and unbroken for eons, seemed suddenly incomplete, as if they had been waiting for you to rewrite them. The awe that your crossing inspired was both terrifying and breathtaking. It was the kind of moment that leaves stars silent, galaxies pausing mid-spin, and guardians whispering in disbelief. You had not just crossed a boundary, you had shattered it, leaving no trace of the limits that once defined the cosmos. And in that quiet aftermath, the universe seemed to whisper a single truth. You were no longer just a being within it. You were becoming the very force that had written its laws. You had crossed a line, and there was no turning back. What you did could never be described as mere defiance. It was a sacred unveiling, an unholy act that revealed the true essence of divinity. Every law, every edict set by gods or men was broken by your action, and in that act, the real God emerged, not in the heavens, not in temples, but within you. The word unholy itself became a misnomer because your act transcended morality, rule, and expectation. To witness it was to confront a reality no one had imagined. Prophets spoke of power beyond comprehension. Scholars speculated about forces outside the known universe, and yet none of them predicted that the revelation of ultimate divinity could happen through a single human, or one seemingly human being. Your unholy act was the final puzzle piece, the moment where myths collided with reality. The shockwaves of your action reverberated through time and space. Ancient artifacts quaked in their resting places. Forgotten temples seemed to pulse with recognition. Even the void, that vast nothingness between worlds, responded to your presence, bending and reshaping itself as if acknowledging the birth of a new deity. It was not chaos, not destruction. It was creation in its purest, most raw form. Every observer, whether celestial or mortal, felt the undeniable truth. The unholy was not evil. It was revelation. And in that revelation, the real God was no longer hidden. For generations, legends had foretold a figure who would rise beyond gods and laws. That figure, once an idea, once a story whispered in fear, now walked among the living, a beacon and a warning. Your act was the proof. The universe could no longer deny the truth that divinity had found its vessel, and it was you. Since the dawn of civilization, civilizations have left behind cryptic messages, fearful warnings, and encoded prophecies. From the hieroglyphs of Egypt to the runes of Norse legend, whispers of a being beyond godly control appeared again and again. They called it impossible, unimaginable, a calamity and salvation wrapped into one. But every symbol, every phrase, every allegory was pointing to a truth too immense to ignore. You were the anomaly, the singularity they feared yet hoped for, the embodiment of warnings turned real. The civilizations that foresaw you disappeared or hid their knowledge, leaving fragments scattered across time. These fragments, now aligning around your existence, reveal an incredible truth. The universe had always been preparing for this moment. You were not an accident. You were inevitability incarnate. Even those who lived in ignorance of prophecies could feel tremors of recognition. Across distant lands, as if the cosmos itself whispered secrets, humans sensed a power rising that could not be named, that could not be confronted. Something monumental was about to unfold, and it was you. And now, the world stands at the edge of revelation, staring at a being it can neither understand nor resist. The ancient warnings are no longer vague. They are alive, pulsating through reality, confirming that the one who could not be stopped has come. Deep within your core, a force long hidden and forbidden stirred. This power is not merely strength, nor is it knowledge. It is the raw essence of creation itself, waiting for a vessel capable of wielding it. The moment it awakened, reality shifted subtly but irrevocably. Time flickered, space trembled, and the fabric of existence hummed with anticipation. This is power that gods themselves dared not touch, a force locked away for eons to prevent catastrophe or enlightenment too profound for mortals. And yet, within you, it was not destructive. It was perfect, primal, a mirror of the universe itself. Every thought, every breath, every heartbeat became infused with the forbidden energy, bending possibilities to your will. The awakening was violent and beautiful, overwhelming and serene, all at once. It reshaped your perception of reality, showing truths long hidden from eyes that could not comprehend them. You saw the interconnectedness of all things, the rise and fall of stars, the heartbeat of civilizations, the fleeting dance of life and death, and understood that all of it was now a part of you. Ancient guardians, cosmic overseers, and spiritual watchers could feel this surge, sensing a threat unlike any they had ever encountered. Yet the power within you was not for conquest or punishment. It was revelation, the unveiling of ultimate potential that had been denied to every being who came before. And as it flowed through you, it became clear: the forbidden was never meant to be denied forever. Its rightful wielder had arrived, reshaping everything it touched, not through violence, but through the inevitability of existence, recognizing its own truth. Your transformation was not gradual. It erupted like a supernova, unstoppable and brilliant. Every cell, every thought, every particle of your being shifted in ways that no God, no spirit, and no law could restrain. It was a metamorphosis of the soul and body, mind and essence, merging mortal limitation with infinite potential. The moment you changed, even the strongest celestial beings understood. Control was no longer an option. This was a transformation that defied comprehension. Divine scripts, etched into existence itself, could not predict what you had become. Prophets, mystics, and scholars who spent lifetimes attempting to understand the divine trembled at the thought. This was not mere power, it was existence rewritten, a living proof that the rules of divinity were not fixed but flexible in the presence of true awakening. The world, too, responded. Mountains shifted imperceptibly. Storms formed in patterns never recorded, and the natural order felt the subtle trembling of forces beyond its grasp. Life itself seemed to recognize that something extraordinary had emerged, and yet this transformation was not chaos. It was precision, an elegant unfolding of what had always been destined, now made manifest in you. Even the guardians of the divine, those who had sworn to maintain balance, could only observe in awe. Their instruments of judgment, their weapons of power, their sacred texts, none could measure nor touch the being that you had become. In that moment, you were not just alive, you were omnipresent in essence, omnipotent in potential, and unstoppable in will. Your transformation was a revelation of the impossible. It was proof that even the gods could be surpassed, even reality could be rewritten, and even destiny could bow to the one who refuses limitation. You were no longer merely a participant in existence. You were its force, its change, its inevitable truth. In that instant, time seemed to fold over itself as if the universe could not contain the magnitude of your ascent. Every god, deity, and immortal entity that had once stood above mortals in power now paled in comparison. They had existed for eons, yet your singular rise made them feel small, fragile, and finite. You had surpassed them not through conflict, but through sheer inevitability, through the pure manifestation of your awakened essence. Legends across civilizations had imagined such a being, a figure who would defy divine hierarchies and challenge the unchallengeable. But nothing in their stories had captured the enormity of your reality. To witness you was to confront an idea too vast to comprehend, that mortality and divinity were not separate, but convergent in a single, unstoppable force. Even the cosmic balance seemed to pause, uncertain of how to respond. Universes that had spun in predictable rhythms now faltered, witnessing the emergence of a power no deity could dominate. Stars dimmed in reverence, galaxies realigned, and the space between worlds quivered under your presence. This surpassing was not arrogance, it was inevitability. Every act, every choice, every step of your journey had been leading to this revelation. You did not merely exceed gods, you became a new measure by which divinity itself would now be judged. And in that overwhelming moment, even the oldest and wisest of celestial beings understood the truth. The age of unquestionable gods was over. You were the new benchmark of omnipotence, the embodiment of power and revelation that no force could stop. The universe itself seemed to bend to your will, not because it feared you, but because it recognized an inevitability it could not deny. Gravity, time, and energy, the building blocks of all that is, aligned subtly to accommodate your rise. The cosmos itself whispered approval, for it had waited through eons for the one being who could fulfill its deepest potential. Every law of nature, every principle of existence became malleable in your presence. Black holes shifted their course, the light of dying stars intensified, and particles danced with unprecedented freedom. Even space and time, concepts thought absolute, surrendered, bending themselves around your unstoppable ascension. This surrender was not submission in fear, it was recognition in awe. The universe had tried countless times to contain or predict ultimate power, but none of its equations, formulas, or prophecies could anticipate your rise. You were not an anomaly. You were the culmination of everything that existence had longed to express. From the smallest quantum fluctuations to the grand sweep of galactic motion, everything participated in your awakening. There was a sense of harmony, a symphony in motion, a rhythm that resonated across dimensions, attesting to the truth that nothing could resist what had always been destined. And in the silence that followed, the cosmos seemed to acknowledge a single, immutable truth. The ascension you embodied was not to be opposed. It was reality itself, recognizing its own ultimate form, reflected in you. Across realms both known and forgotten, watchers trembled as they beheld your form. Guardians who had monitored timelines, beings who had guided mortals and gods alike, all faltered in disbelief. Their knowledge, their centuries of preparation, their sacred duties, all were insufficient to comprehend what you had become. Fear was inevitable. Even the most rational observers felt a cold shiver of recognition. This being was no longer within the rules of existence. It was a storm, a revelation, an unstoppable force. Prophecies they had studied carefully, predicting power and calamity, now seemed naive, incapable of describing your magnitude. And yet, in their terror, there was awe. They understood that what they feared most was the very truth they had been seeking for millennia, a being beyond judgment, beyond limitation, beyond control. Your presence forced them to confront a reality they had never imagined, a reality where divinity itself could be redefined. Even ancient seers who had meditated for centuries to perceive the will of gods could only whisper in reverence, their voices trembling. You were a being whose existence challenged the very nature of observation itself. To witness you was to understand that some truths are too immense for words, and some power too absolute for fear alone. And so the watchers recoiled, knowing they were facing something that had been written in stars, hidden in myths, and whispered in the margins of forgotten texts, the one no god could stop, the one who now defined power itself. The moment of your rise shattered all boundaries. Science, which once claimed dominion over understanding, faltered. Equations that had explained the behavior of matter for millennia now failed to describe your existence. Physics became poetry, probability dissolved into inevitability, and the measurable no longer contained what had emerged. Spirituality fared no better. Faiths that had defined morality, sanctity, and cosmic order struggled to comprehend you. Rituals, prayers, and divine laws lost their meaning when confronted with a being who existed outside all constraints. Scholars and mystics alike had glimpsed fragments of truth, but your existence proved the universe had been far more vast, mysterious, and alive than anyone had ever imagined. Even the most rigid boundaries of thought, cause and effect, mortal and immortal, creation and destruction, now seemed fluid, responsive to your presence. You were the bridge, the proof, and the new standard by which all understanding would be measured. And in this collapse, the universe itself became a teacher, showing that limits exist only where consciousness assumes them, and that the one who awakens beyond all limits becomes a force of revelation, change, and truth. Long before humans recorded history, civilizations left signs of a being who would surpass gods and laws. Stone carvings, cryptic hieroglyphs, and undeciphered scripts hinted at a power that would appear and challenge divine order. They were warnings, yes, but they were also prophecies of hope, signaling the arrival of the inevitable. These civilizations vanished, leaving fragments behind, waiting for the moment their messages would be understood. You became the culmination of their foresight, the answer to their coded prayers and fearful inscriptions. What they had dreamed of, what they had feared, now walked the world, uncontainable and undeniable. From the Mayan codices to Sumerian tablets, echoes of your existence resound across millennia. Every fragment of lost knowledge, every mysterious artifact, now aligns to reveal one truth. You were destined to rise, unstoppable and transcendent, reshaping reality itself. Even the places they revered, temples, tombs, and forgotten cities, responded subtly to your presence. Symbols, long dormant, glowed faintly, as if recognizing the return of the force they had tried to encode in permanence. And in every whisper of the past, every warning etched in stone, the civilization's message became clear. Your rise was never a question of possibility. It was destiny, a revelation that no god could resist, no force could obstruct, and no myth could deny. Within the deepest recesses of existence, knowledge long forgotten awakens through you. Secrets buried in the corners of the cosmos, encoded in ancient relics, and hidden within sacred texts, now reveal themselves to your mind alone. This knowledge is not just information. It is the blueprint of reality, the design of creation, and the essence of power itself. No scholar, prophet, or god could ever access this understanding. It is yours by destiny, by awakening, and by the act of crossing boundaries no being dared to breach. With each revelation, you perceive layers of existence that remain invisible to others, the delicate threads that weave life, the unseen patterns of time, and the forces that dictate both chaos and harmony. This hidden knowledge brings responsibility unlike any other. It is not about controlling the world, but understanding it, seeing it in its most raw and magnificent form. And with understanding comes the power to influence, to reshape, and to redefine what was once thought eternal. Those who attempt to follow in your footsteps can only glimpse fragments, like shadows of a light too bright to behold. Even the most enlightened beings, armed with centuries of study, find their comprehension shattered when confronted with what you now know instinctively. And in the quiet of realization, you understand a profound truth. Some knowledge is sacred precisely because it belongs to no one but the awakened. It is not given, it is discovered, embodied, and lived. You are its keeper, its manifestation, and its unstoppable force. Every act you take sends ripples through existence, reshaping reality in ways both subtle and grand. You are not bound by the laws that governed gods, men, or the cosmos itself. Time, space, energy, and life now bend to your presence. You are not just living in the universe, you are actively crafting it. Creation, as it was once understood, is now a canvas on which you paint with infinite possibilities. Stars flare where you will them. Civilizations rise or fall as echoes of your insight, and the very flow of time becomes a river you can navigate with perfect understanding. Nothing remains static. Nothing remains predictable. This rewriting is not destruction, it is evolution. Every boundary removed, every rule challenged becomes a chance to manifest reality in its truest, most profound form. You are the instrument through which potential becomes reality, and the impossible is made tangible. Even the forces that once governed the cosmos, the watchers, the overseers, the ancient guardians of order, observe in awe and silent recognition. They sense that their work was never complete, that the universe always awaited a being capable of transcending it, and that being is you. And in every breath, every thought, every heartbeat, you redefine what it means to exist. You are not merely alive, you are the architect of all that is, was, and will ever be. Civilizations rose and fell under the illusion of control, believing that the divine hierarchy was unassailable. You shattered that illusion. You exist as proof that the universe has potential beyond its self-imposed limits. Every action you take now embodies the forbidden, yet it is not wrong. It is revelation. Where the world once saw sin, transgression, or heresy, it now sees truth and possibility. Your existence is a declaration that the rules of creation are not absolute, that the real God resides in awakening, in courage, and in the breaking of limits. Even those who try to oppose you cannot comprehend the depth of your power. Their resistance is futile because they measure reality by laws that no longer apply. What you are is not just rare, it is unique, singular, and destined, something the universe itself has never hosted before. And in this realization lies the paradox. Your power should not exist, yet it does. Its existence redefines history, mythology, and every law that sought to bind existence. You are the living answer to questions that have haunted gods for eons. You are neither wholly divine nor wholly mortal. You are both, yet transcending both. In your rise, you have blurred the lines between sacred and profane, holy and unholy, law and chaos. What was once dichotomous now merges seamlessly in your existence, proving that ultimate power is beyond moral constraints. It is truth itself. By breaking these distinctions, you challenge perception. Those who once worshipped gods or feared devils now face a reality where both concepts are subordinate to your presence. Your ascension is not an act of defiance, but of revelation, showing that the sacred and profane are mere reflections of understanding, not limits of possibility. This is a role few could bear. To carry such awareness is to walk a path of isolation, yet also of unsurpassed freedom. You are unchained, unrestricted, and unstoppable, a being whose essence defines what is holy and what is forbidden, simply by existing. Legends will no longer be stories. They will be histories of your deeds. Myths will no longer be warnings, they will be the recognition of your unstoppable reality. In every culture, every faith, every realm, your name becomes the bridge between what was revered and what was feared. And through it all, you remain the chosen one, the singular force capable of merging opposites, rewriting definitions, and revealing truths that no god or mortal dared to utter. You are both the question and the answer, the beginning and the end. The age has dawned where you are no longer a figure in legend or a spark of potential. You are the living embodiment of divinity. Mortals look to you not in fear alone, but in awe and wonder, recognizing that the impossible has manifested in flesh, mind, and spirit. Your era is not just a point in time, it is a transformation of time itself. Civilizations, galaxies, and realms will remember this moment as the beginning of a new order. The laws that governed existence are now reflections of your essence. The universe no longer operates independently. It resonates with your awareness, shaping itself according to your will, insight, and revelation. Your rise does not end in conquest. It culminates in understanding. You have shown that ultimate power is not mere domination, but the ability to awaken, to transcend, and to reveal the divine within. You are a god not by birthright, but by the manifestation of truth, by breaking limitations, and by showing the world the real measure of divinity. Even the oldest and most powerful entities accept this new reality. Celestial beings, ancient guardians, and watchers of fate recognize your supremacy not through fear, but through acknowledgement. You have become the standard by which all power, mortal and divine, will be measured. And so, the era begins. An era defined not by obedience, not by ritual, and not by law, but by the presence of the one who embodies the universe itself. You are the true God, unstoppable, undeniable, and eternal, the living proof that limits exist only to be broken. From the first spark of consciousness, something ancient stirred within you. It was not merely awareness, it was an awakening that had been written into the universe itself, waiting for the right moment to emerge. As it unfolded, the very fabric of eternity seemed to tremble, as if time and space themselves recognized the arrival of a being beyond comprehension. Every heartbeat resonated with cosmic rhythm. Planets aligned subtly in your presence. Stars pulsed with unspoken acknowledgement. It was a revelation that surpassed prophecy, an event that no scripture or myth could contain. The cosmos had been anticipating this awakening, and you were the culmination of that infinite patience. Yet awakening is never passive. It is violent, overwhelming, and ecstatic. Energy surged through every fiber of your being, and even the laws that once restrained the universe quivered. Mortal minds have limits, and yet you have surpassed them. Where humans perceive linearity, you see infinite possibilities. Where they grasp time as a river, you understand it as a living, flowing organism, pliable and responsive to your will. You exist beyond comprehension, yet intimately within every pulse of creation. Even the wisest seers, who have dedicated lifetimes to understanding the cosmos, can only glimpse fragments of your reality. Their thoughts, their visions, their prayers, all fall short when faced with the breadth of your existence. To dwell beyond comprehension is both liberation and isolation. You feel the enormity of your power in ways no mortal can imagine, yet you also sense the weight of responsibility. Understanding the infinite is a burden few could bear, but you do so effortlessly, with clarity and purpose. The veil between the known and the unknown has lifted. Mysteries of the universe, the origin of life, the essence of consciousness, the patterns of destiny, reveal themselves in subtle whispers that only you can hear. And in this space, beyond mortal grasp, you are sovereign. Comprehension cannot limit you, knowledge cannot contain you, and existence itself bends to recognize your presence. Every unseen force, the energies of the cosmos, the currents of time, the laws that govern matter, feels your awakening. They recognize a power beyond calculation, a presence that alters the very foundations of their influence. What was once invisible now kneels in acknowledgement of your reality. These forces have been eternal witnesses to the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of stars, and the ebb and flow of time. Yet none could anticipate a being who could command their obedience not through conflict, but through sheer magnitude. It is not submission born of fear, it is recognition born of inevitability. These forces sense the truth that you embody. There is no one, no God, and no law that can oppose the awakened. And as they bend, they reveal their secrets, the hidden energies that underpin life, the currents that guide creation, and the threads of reality itself become yours to perceive and influence. In this moment, the universe aligns. All unseen forces bow, not in subjugation, but in reverence. You are the axis around which reality pivots, unstoppable and divine. Every action you take sends ripples across eternity. Past, present, and future converge in your presence, creating echoes that resonate through dimensions and ages. These echoes are not fleeting. They are imprints of a power that will endure as long as existence itself. Civilizations yet to be born will sense your influence. Cultures long forgotten will find their myths echoing your deeds. Time, once a linear march, now spirals in recognition of your unstoppable presence. Even the oldest deities feel the resonance of your existence. Their influence, their dominion, their legacy, all are refracted through the prism of your being. You do not simply exist, you leave a mark upon existence itself. These echoes are both warning and inspiration. They tell the cosmos that a force beyond understanding has emerged, and that all who witness it are part of something greater than themselves. And as the timeless echo spreads, it carries a message. The one who awakens beyond all boundaries leaves an indelible mark upon reality, shaping not only what is, but what will be. You are a light that no star can rival, a brilliance that illuminates both the cosmos and the hidden corners of the soul. Every being that perceives you feels the warmth, the intensity, and the revelation of existence itself. You are not merely seen, you are felt, known, and understood. Stars themselves seem to pulse in your presence, aligning as if acknowledging a greater illumination. Galaxies bend subtly to catch your radiance, and black holes, once thought absolute, reflect a faint shimmer of your power. This light is not gentle, it is overwhelming. It exposes truths, shatters illusions, and guides those brave enough to witness it. It does not destroy, it reveals, illuminates, and empowers. Even the most ancient gods, who once shone in brilliance unrivaled, pale beside your awakening. Your light is a declaration. The dawn of a new reality has arrived, and it shines through you. And in this light, everything becomes clear. You are not merely part of the universe. You are the illumination that defines it, unstoppable, eternal, and divine. Perfect. Here's the continuation. with the remaining 8 headings, 8 to 15, each with 5 long, immersive paragraphs, completing the full 15-heading set in the same epic, emotional, and humanized style. Your will is no longer just a force of thought. It is a gravitational pull that bends reality itself. Every choice you make, every intention you hold, resonates through existence like a cosmic heartbeat. Planets shift imperceptibly, stars align, and even the flow of time quivers in anticipation of your decisions.